Dr. William Mercer.
The pink pill warning. Why your sleep aid is erasing your memory. Have you ever stood in your kitchen late at night, staring at a familiar cabinet, and forgotten why you opened it? Maybe you laughed it off. Maybe you blamed a busy day. Or maybe you quietly wondered if this was simply what getting older feels like. Now imagine that the very pill you've been taking to help you sleep could be making those moments happen more often. Not because it's poisonous, not because you're doing anything wrong, but because your aging brain no longer handles that medication the way it once did. One small pink pill. Easy to buy. No prescription. Recommended by friends. Found in countless medicine cabinets across America. For millions of adults over 60, it has become part of the nightly routine. Take one, fall asleep, wake up, repeat. But what many people never hear is that this same medication has been raising concerns among geriatric specialists for years. Not because it helps people sleep, but because of what it may quietly be doing to the brain over time. Today we're talking about diphenhydramine, the active ingredient in many nighttime sleep aids and allergy medicines, including Benadryl and numerous PM products. If you've ever reached for one before bed because you just wanted a good night's sleep, this conversation is for you, not to frighten you, not to shame you, but to help you understand why experts in aging medicine have become increasingly cautious about its long-term use in older adults. Because sometimes the biggest risks don't come from rare diseases. They come from everyday habits that seem completely harmless. Years ago, I met a gentleman I'll call Richard. Richard was 72, a retired high school teacher. Sharp, curious, the kind of man who never forgot a birthday and could still recite poetry he'd learned decades earlier. When he came into the clinic, he wasn't worried about allergies. He wasn't even worried about sleep. He was worried about his memory. He had started misplacing his reading glasses, then forgetting appointments, then losing track of conversations halfway through. His wife noticed he repeated the same questions several times during dinner. At first, everyone blamed normal aging. After all, forgetting little things happens to everyone. But something didn't feel quite right. His medical tests looked surprisingly good. Blood pressure was well controlled. Blood sugar was stable. Brain imaging didn't reveal anything dramatic. Then we reviewed every medication in his home, not just prescriptions. Everything. That's when his wife casually mentioned something that hadn't seemed important. Oh, he takes one little pink sleep pill every night. Just one, for almost 8 years. He had never considered it medication. To him, it was simply part of bedtime, like brushing his teeth. And that is exactly why this story matters. Because many older adults don't realize that over-the-counter medicines can affect the brain just as powerfully as prescription drugs, sometimes even more. To understand why, we need to talk about one of the brain's most important chemical messengers. Its name is acetylcholine. That sounds complicated. But think of acetylcholine as your brain's communication system. Imagine a busy city. Cars move because traffic lights work. Emergency vehicles reach hospitals because roads stay organized. Messages arrive where they're supposed to go. Now imagine someone suddenly shuts off many of those traffic lights. Cars hesitate. Intersections become confusing. Everything slows down. Not because the cars disappeared, but because communication broke down. Acetylcholine works in much the same way. It helps nerve cells communicate with one another. It supports attention, learning, memory formation, clear thinking, even balance. It helps your brain decide what information is important enough to keep. Without enough acetylcholine, those mental connections become less efficient. Names become harder to recall. Conversations require more effort. Finding the right word suddenly takes longer than it used to. Now here's something many people never hear. As we grow older, our brains naturally produce less acetylcholine. This isn't a personal failure. It's part of normal aging. The cells that manufacture it gradually become less active. Some nerve connections become less efficient. The brain becomes more vulnerable to anything that further reduces this important messenger. Think of it like a savings account. When you're younger, you have plenty in reserve. Small withdrawals hardly matter. But later in life, when the balance becomes smaller, every withdrawal has a much greater impact. That's where diphenhydramine enters the picture. This medication belongs to a group of drugs with what doctors call anticholinergic effects. Again, the medical word sounds intimidating. The idea is actually quite simple. Instead of supporting acetylcholine, these medicines block its activity. Temporarily, that blockage is part of why the medicine makes people sleepy. But sleepiness isn't the only thing that happens. The same chemical messenger involved in alertness is also deeply involved in memory. So when acetylcholine becomes blocked, thinking can become slower. Reaction time may decrease. Short-term memory can become less reliable. Attention may drift. Many older adults describe feeling unusually foggy the next morning, almost as if their brain hasn't fully woken up. Some notice they lose track of simple tasks. Others struggle to remember why they entered a room. Still others feel less steady on their feet. These aren't just annoying inconveniences. For someone over 65, they can increase the risk of falls, confusion, medication mistakes, and reduced independence. One of the biggest misconceptions is that because diphenhydramine is sold without a prescription, it must be completely harmless. But over-the-counter simply means you don't need a prescription to purchase it. It does not mean every person should take it indefinitely, especially as the body changes with age. Older adults process medications differently. The liver may clear drugs more slowly. The kidneys may eliminate them less efficiently. The brain itself becomes more sensitive to medications that affect thinking. That means the same dose that barely caused drowsiness at age 45 may produce much stronger effects at age 75. And here's another hidden issue. Many people don't realize they're taking diphenhydramine at all. It's often hidden inside nighttime cold medicines, nighttime pain relievers, sleep formulas, combination products with names ending in PM. Someone might take a nighttime pain medicine for aching knees, an allergy tablet during pollen season, a cough medicine during a cold, without realizing they are repeatedly exposing their brain to the same anticholinergic ingredient. Over months and years, that exposure can add up. Researchers studying aging have spent years looking at medications with strong anticholinergic properties. They've consistently found that higher cumulative exposure is associated with poorer cognitive performance and a greater risk of developing dementia later in life. Now, it's important to be careful with what those studies actually tell us. They show an association. They do not prove that diphenhydramine alone causes dementia in every person who takes it. Human health is far more complicated than that. Age, genetics, cardiovascular health, sleep quality, exercise, education, other medications, all play important roles. But when multiple high-quality studies continue pointing in the same direction, geriatric specialists pay attention. And so should we. This is one reason organizations that focus on older adults advise avoiding diphenhydramine whenever possible in people over 65, especially for regular use as a sleep aid. Not because they want people to suffer through sleepless nights, but because protecting brain function becomes increasingly valuable with age. Memory is precious, independence is precious, clear thinking is precious. Sometimes protecting those things begins not with adding another supplement or another prescription, but by taking a fresh look at something already sitting quietly in the medicine cabinet. Let's go back to Richard for a moment. When we asked him why he started taking that little pink pill, his answer was almost identical to what I've heard from hundreds of older adults over the years. It just helped me sleep. There wasn't a dramatic story behind it. No major illness. No severe insomnia. Several years earlier, he had gone through a stressful period after retiring. His sleep became lighter. He would wake up around 2 or 3 in the morning and struggle to fall back asleep. A neighbor mentioned an over-the-counter sleep aid. "It works like a charm," she said. And it did, at least at first. Within an hour of taking it, Richard became drowsy enough to drift off. Problem solved, or so it seemed. What he couldn't feel was that the medication wasn't creating natural sleep, it was creating sedation. Those two things are not always the same. This is an important distinction. Think about the difference between turning off the lights in your house and cutting the electricity. Both make the room dark, but only one allows everything to keep working normally. Natural sleep is an active biological process. While you're asleep, your brain isn't simply resting. It's incredibly busy. It sorts memories from the day, strengthens important neural connections, clears away waste products that build up while you're awake, regulates hormones, supports emotional balance, repairs tissues throughout the body. Healthy sleep is one of the most remarkable maintenance programs the human body has. Sedation, on the other hand, simply suppresses wakefulness. You may lose consciousness. You may spend more hours in bed, but that doesn't necessarily mean your brain experiences the same quality of restorative sleep. That's one reason many people who regularly rely on sedating medications eventually say something curious. "I slept 8 hours, but I still feel exhausted." Or, "My body was in bed all night, but I don't feel refreshed." The goal isn't simply more sleep, it's better sleep. And that's where aging changes the picture. As we grow older, our sleep naturally becomes lighter. We spend less time in the deepest stages of sleep than we did in our 20s. Many people wake briefly several times each night without even remembering it. This is often a normal part of aging. Unfortunately, many adults interpret every nighttime awakening as a medical problem that needs another pill. Sometimes the healthier approach is understanding what normal aging looks like. That doesn't mean chronic insomnia should be ignored. Far from it. Persistent sleep problems deserve medical attention because they may be caused by conditions such as sleep apnea, chronic pain, depression, anxiety, medication side effects, thyroid disorders, or restless leg syndrome. Treating the underlying cause is very different from simply masking the symptom. And that brings us to another hidden danger. When medications like Diphenhydramine make someone sleepy, they don't only affect memory, they can also affect balance. Picture this. It's 3 in the morning. You wake up needing to use the bathroom. The room is dark. Your blood pressure naturally drops a little when you stand. Your muscles aren't as quick to respond as they once were. Now add a medication that slows reaction time and clouds thinking. Suddenly, the simple walk from your bedroom to the bathroom becomes much more dangerous. Falls are one of the leading causes of serious injury in older adults. A fractured hip can change a person's life in an instant. Recovery often takes months. Some people never fully regain their previous level of independence. That risk deserves just as much attention as the memory concerns. Sometimes the consequences of a medication aren't dramatic enough to notice right away. Instead, they arrive quietly. A little more morning grogginess, a little more confusion, one extra stumble, a forgotten appointment, a missed medication dose. Each event seems small by itself, but together, they begin to paint a different picture. This is exactly why geriatric medicine places so much emphasis on reviewing medications regularly. Not because medicines are bad. Many medications save lives. The goal is to make sure each medicine is still helping more than it's hurting. Our bodies at 75 are not the same as our bodies at 45. The medication list shouldn't stay frozen in time either. Another surprise for many people is just how many medicines have anticholinergic effects besides diphenhydramine, some older bladder medications, certain medications for dizziness, some antidepressants, some medicines used for nausea, even certain products marketed for allergies or colds. Individually, each one may contribute only a small amount, but together, they can create what's sometimes called the anticholinergic burden. Imagine carrying grocery bags. One lightweight bag isn't difficult. 2 still feel manageable. But if someone keeps handing you another bag every few minutes, eventually your arms become overloaded. Your brain can experience something similar. One medication with mild anticholinergic effects may not create major problems. Several together can place a much heavier burden on memory, attention, and clear thinking. This is one reason healthcare professionals often ask patients to bring every medication to appointments. Not just prescriptions, everything: vitamins, supplements, eye drops, herbal products, pain relievers, sleep aids, cold medicines, even medications taken only once in a while. Sometimes the missing piece of the puzzle is sitting inside a bottle that no one thought to mention because it didn't require a prescription. Richard's story had an encouraging chapter. After reviewing his medications with his physician, they developed a plan. Not overnight, not abruptly, and certainly not by stopping everything on his own. They gradually eliminated the nightly diphenhydramine and focused on addressing the reasons he wasn't sleeping well in the first place. It took patience. The first week wasn't perfect, neither was the second. But over time, something interesting happened. His mornings became clearer. His wife noticed he seemed more engaged during conversations. He stopped repeating as many questions. He felt steadier when walking the dog each morning. Did every memory problem disappear? No, that would not be an honest promise. Aging still continued, but removing one unnecessary burden gave his brain a better opportunity to function at its best. That's an important lesson. Sometimes improving brain health isn't about finding a miracle treatment. Sometimes it's about removing obstacles that quietly interfere with normal brain function. The human brain has an extraordinary ability to adapt, even later in life. It may not be perfect, but it is remarkably resilient when we give it the chance. If you've been taking a pink sleep pill every night for months, or even years, you might be wondering something important. What should I do now? The first answer is simple. Don't panic. Many people have used diphenhydramine without ever realizing there were concerns about long-term use in older adults. This isn't about guilt. It's about awareness. Once you know better, you can have a better conversation with your healthcare professional, and that conversation could make a meaningful difference. One of the most important things you can do is take inventory of your medicine cabinet. Read the active ingredients, not just the brand names. You may be surprised to discover that several different products contain the same medication. One bottle may say it's for allergies, another for nighttime pain, another for cough and cold symptoms, another simply says sleep. Different labels, the same active ingredient. This is why pharmacists and physicians encourage older adults to review all of their medications regularly, including over-the-counter products. Sometimes the safest change is not adding something new. It's removing something that's no longer the best choice. If sleep has become difficult, the next question shouldn't always be, which pill should I take? It should be, why am I not sleeping? That single question can lead to very different answers. Perhaps pain wakes you during the night. Perhaps you're drinking coffee later in the day than you realize. Perhaps frequent trips to the bathroom interrupt your sleep. Perhaps untreated sleep apnea is preventing deep restorative rest. Or perhaps stress and worry are keeping your mind active long after your head reaches the pillow. Each of those situations deserves a different solution. Treating the cause is usually more effective than simply treating the symptom. Many older adults are surprised by how much small daily habits can improve sleep quality over time. Keeping a regular bedtime, getting morning sunlight to help reset the body's internal clock, limiting caffeine later in the day, staying physically active with regular walks if your health allows, keeping the bedroom cool, quiet, and dark, avoiding long daytime naps that make nighttime sleep more difficult, creating a calming bedtime routine by reading, listening to gentle music, or practicing relaxation exercises instead of watching stimulating television or scrolling through a phone. These habits may not produce dramatic results overnight, but unlike many sedating medications, They work with your body's natural sleep system instead of against it. And because they support healthier sleep rather than simply causing drowsiness, their benefits often extend beyond the night itself. Better concentration, improved mood, greater energy, sharper thinking. For some people, healthcare professionals may recommend other approaches when medication is truly needed. The right choice depends on your overall health, other medications, and the reason you're having trouble sleeping. That's why it's so important not to replace one sleep aid with another without professional guidance. Every medication has potential benefits and potential risks. The goal is to find the safest option for your individual situation. Protecting your brain isn't about chasing perfection. It's about making thoughtful decisions that add up over time. We often think of memory as something we either keep or lose. In reality, brain health is influenced by many small choices made day after day. Managing blood pressure, staying physically active, keeping blood sugar under good control, eating a balanced diet, remaining socially connected, challenging the mind by learning new skills, reading or enjoying meaningful conversations, getting enough restorative sleep, and reviewing medications regularly to make sure they still fit your needs. None of these steps guarantees that memory problems will never occur, but together, they create the best possible environment for your brain to continue serving you well. I often remind my patients that growing older is not the same as giving up. Your brain continues changing throughout life. It continues adapting. It continues responding to the way you care for it. Every healthy choice is an investment in the conversations you'll have tomorrow, the names you'll remember, the stories you'll continue telling your grandchildren, and the independence you value so deeply. If you're over 60, tonight might be a good time to take one quiet look inside your medicine cabinet. Not with fear, with curiosity. Ask yourself, do I know what I'm taking, and do I know why I'm taking it? If the answer isn't clear, bring those medications to your next appointment and review them with your physician or pharmacist. That simple conversation could uncover opportunities to reduce unnecessary medications, improve sleep, and better protect your memory. Because sometimes the most powerful step toward healthier aging isn't discovering a brand new treatment. It's recognizing that an old habit deserves a second look. I'd like to leave you with one final question. What is one small change you could make this week to better protect your brain for the years ahead? If you feel comfortable sharing, tell me your age and whether you've ever used a nighttime sleep aid. Your experience may help someone else realize they're not alone. Thank you for spending this time with me today. Take care of your sleep, take care of your memory, and most importantly, take care of yourself. Stay sharp.